So, welcome students for the second class of software architecture and design patterns. The last class we will just have an overview what was happened in the previous class. Just we discussed about the need of the subject, prescribed syllabus, textbooks, outcomes, respect to unit 1 topics and the software architecture business cycle, and then we have come across with the various stakeholders, developing organization, background and experience of the architects, technical environment, definition of a software architecture, and what are the implications to the respect to our definition and various software architectural patterns. Now for today's class onwards, we will be dealing with the reference model. So we will see why we have to go for the reference models. It can be defined as a division of functionality together with the data flow between the pieces. So here pieces reference the elements of the software. Division of functionality means whatever the functionality you are going to be developing, you are dividing the whole functionality into various modules while you are making it up as like a data flow among the modules or among the elements, so software elements. So reference model is not the architecture. Reference model will helps us to develop a particular software architecture. So here whenever we will be thinking about the reference models, the standard decomposition of a known problem into parts. It means we have divided the whole problem into parts, sub problems, and then we are combining to get it a solution. And it can also happen only with the decomposition itself. The characteristics of various domains. For example, the reference model can be a compiler itself is a reference model, a DBMS is a reference model. The reference architecture, a reference model mapped onto software elements that cooperatively implement the functionality defined in the reference models. That is, in the reference architecture, what we are going to see is using the reference model, we are trying to identify the flow of the data among the various modules. Whereas a reference model divides the functionality, whereas a reference architecture is a mapping of the functionality and the system decomposition. It means I am trying to integrate all the components and make it as like a system. When I am trying to integrate the various components, I need to see the connectors, I need to see the flow of the connectors, I need to see the interfaces. All these aspects I need to consider. So reference models, architecture model patterns, and reference architectures are not architectures. They are just useful concepts that capture elements of the architecture. Each is the outcome of the early design. Remember this is not the architecture. This is only the outcome for the early design. Before going to making the design, you need to have reference models, you need to have reference architectures. Do remember these two things whenever you are going for the architecture. Before that, you need to have reference models and reference architectures. Okay, next we will see the one more topic, architectural structure. We are having reference model, that is a mapping between the elements, and reference architectures which will shows the data flow from one element to another element using the reference models. Now the architectures and views, structures. So before going to the structures, we will see what do you mean by V. V is nothing but a representation of a set of elements and the relationships among them. So we can define a view as nothing but a set of elements. The elements can be software elements and we are going to see the relationships among them. A view is a representation of a set of system elements and relations among them, not all system elements, but those of a particular type. For example, a layered view. If you will see the OSI model, which is a layered model, in the computer networks you might have come across with the OSI model, Open System Interconnectivity model, where you can see the layered model, that is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, okay, like that around 7 layers will be there. Those layers, how those layers will be built upon, before that you need to see whenever building a software system, you need to perform a layered technology or layered architecture. So it shows the system's decomposition into layers. It means I am dividing the whole system into various layers and I am going to give the relationships among those layers. A pure layer view would not, however, the system's services or clients or servers or data models or any other type of the element. So a view is nothing but a representation of a system, elements and relations among them, not all system elements, but those of particular type. Do remember this. Views may be driven by a need to document a particular pattern in your design. Whatever the design you are going to be considering, okay, that view is going to document a particular pattern. What you are going to write for a particular pattern. For that, the documentation will be stored in the views in your design. Some patterns are composed of modules, others of components and connectors, and still others have deployment considerations. See, every model or module in a given software architecture you are going to be designing, it includes components and connectors. Without components and connectors, you cannot design any architecture. And still others have deployment considerations. Module views, component and connectors views, and allocation views are the appropriate mechanisms for representing these considerations. So views will play a vital role. Now, if you will see some of the types of views, you can see model views. A module is an implementation unit that provides a coherent set of responsibilities. Simply I can say responsibility is nothing but a functionality. A module might take the form of a class, it can be a part of a class, or it can be a type of a class, a collection of classes. A layer, it can be a layer, a module can be a layer, it can be a class, it can be a component, it can be an aspect, it can, or any decomposition of the implementation unit, or simply I can say a functionality itself is a module. For example, module views are decomposition, uses and layers. These are the three types which we can consider as an example for the module. Every module has a collection of properties assigned to it. See, whatever the properties assigned to it, that will only it will follows. These properties are intended to express the important information associated with the module as well as constraints of the module. See, whenever you are going to designing any module, you need to keep some constraints. Within this elapsed time, I need to complete. Within this duration, I need to complete. Within this time specified bounded, I need to give the responsibilities. Sample properties of the module are responsibilities, visibility information. Visibility means it is private, public or protected or none of the above. And revision history, whatever the module you have been developed, that can be should have revision history. The relations that modules have to one another include a part of, depends on and is a relationship. See, these are the relationships, is a part of, you might have seen in the OOAD subject, in the UML subject, is a part of, association, depends on, dependency, is a aggregation. So these are the various relationships you might have seen. So these are the properties when you are going to be applying. The properties of modules that help to guide implementation or are input to analysis should be recorded as a part of this supporting documentation for a module view. The list of properties may vary but is likely to include the following, such as name, responsibilities, visibilities of implementation information, mapping to source code units. So these are the various and test information. These 5 are the various properties. It means that whatever the module name you are going to giving, you need to know the module name. Okay, primarily it's nothing but you can give module name as A, B, C, whatever it might be so, and submodule as something. Responsibilities means what are the purpose of the module is going to doing, and then visibility means it can be a public, private, protected, whatever I just told you as per the interfaces. Who can access? For example, I am having an ATM machine, I can access, yes, if I do have a proper card. If I will also have a card, but the card is not accepting. It means it's fully private. It means the username, the credentials must be accepted. And implementation information. Modules are the units of implementation. It is therefore useful to record information related to their implementation from point of view of managing their development and building the system that contains them. This might include the following: mapping to source code units. This is very important topic. Mapping to source code units. This identifies the files that constitute the implementation of a module. For example, a module account, if implemented in Java, might have several files that constitute its implementation, such as interfaces iaccount.java, implementation.java, and bean.java, which will hold the state of the account, and .xml file that defines a mapping between the account bean and the database object table relationship model, and perhaps a unit test account test.java. So if you will see all these files includes one file as like an interface, one file as like an functionality file, one file is nothing but the state of the objects, one file is nothing but the which will stores in the database, one file is nothing but the test file. So here I have shown you all files which are nothing but these are the modules of a particular project or a particular architecture. So I have given an example for the clear about the account module, where it includes a list of files: interface file, functionality file, database file, state file, and then your testing file. So I can club up and make it as like that. At last, test information. So whatever the modules test plan, the test cases you have been generated, you need to maintain as like a document. This information may simply be a pointer to a location of these artifacts. So this is about the whole about the module views. Along with the module views, we need to have management information. A manager need to information about the module's predicted schedule and budget. See, if our whatever the modules we are going to developing, if it will be crosses beyond the budget, useless. If it is crossing beyond the schedule, useless. So this information may simply be a pointer to the location of these artifacts. Whatever the artifacts we have developed, artifacts is nothing but a end product of the system. Whatever the artifacts we have developed just now, here in this slide you can see mappings to source code units. These are the artifacts for a particular module. Now, implementation constraints. In many cases, the architect will have an implementation strategy in mind for a module, or may know the constraints of that implementation must follow. And you need to have the revision history, knowing the history of a module, including author's information and particular changes which was happened at what time. So these are the things which will give the clear cut about the module views. And then we will move on to the one more view known as components and connector views. So till now we have seen the module views, which includes the artifacts, and then we are going to discuss about the components and the connector views. Component and connector views show elements that have some runtime presence, such as processes, objects, clients, servers, and data stores. Nothing but databases. These elements are termed as components. Additionally, component and connector views include as elements the pathways of interaction, such as communication links and protocols, information flows, and access to shared storage. Such interactions are represented as connectors in the CNC views. Sample CNC views are service oriented architectures, client server, and communicating process views. Components have interfaces called ports. A port defines a point of potential interaction of a component with its environment. See, for every component there is a port. It's nothing but an interface port. A port defines a point of potential interaction of a component within its environment. A port usually has an explicit type which defines the kind of behavior that can take place of a point of interaction. A component may have many ports of the same type, each forming a different input or output channel at runtime. So if you will see, the component must have a port. Okay. Next, an element, nothing but a software element. It can be a component or connector of CNC view, will have various associated properties. Every element should have a name and type, whatever we have discussed just now. Okay. Next, reliability. So this is also one of the aspects in the component and connectors. What is the likelihood failure of a component or connector? This property might be useful to help determine overall system availability or not. It means I am trying to access some database or object or any file or any software or any app. Is it available to access or download it or not? Performance. What kinds of response time will the component provide under what loads? What kind of bandwidth, latency, jitter control, transaction volumes or throughput can be expected for a given connector. This property can be used with others to determine system-wide properties such as response times, throughput and buffering methods. So the performance plays a vital role whenever we are going to see that along with the availability that it has to give the respect to response time for me. Then only we can say that the performing software. Resource requirements. What are the processing and storage needs of a component or connector? This property can be used to determine whether a proposed hardware configuration will be adequate or not. Functionality. What functions does the element performs? The property can be used to reason about overall computations performed by a system. Security. Does a component or a connector enforce or provide security features such as encryption, decryption, audit trials or authentication? The property can be used to determine system security vulnerabilities. Along with that, one more property is concurrency. So does this component execute as a separate process or thread? This property can help to analyze or simulate the performance of concurrent components and identify possible deadlocks. See, whenever you are performing the multiple tasks, at that time this concurrency feature will come into picture. How the deadlocks may form. We should not allow any system aspects, the components where they are going to be interacting with one another, there should not be any deadlock. Modifiability. Does the messaging structure support to structure to cater for evolving data exchanges? It means whenever you want to perform any modifiability aspects of the property, you need to have the data exchanges. Can the components be adopted to process those new messages? This property can be defined to extend the functionality of a component. The next one is tied. If you will see, we are having 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, such type of technology we are going to be following. What tier does the component resides in? This property helps to define the build and deployment procedures as well as platform requirements for each other. Okay, so these are the various the component connector views. These are the various properties: reliability, performance, resource requirements, functionality, security, concurrency, modifiability and tiers. Component and connectors views are commonly used to show to developers and other stakeholders how the system works. One can animate or trace through a component and connector view, showing an end-to-end thread of activity. Component connector views are also used to reason about runtime quality attributes such as performance and availability. So these two are the runtime attributes. In particular, a well-documented view allows architects to predict overall system properties such as latency, that is nothing but reliability, that availability of the system, gives estimates or measurements of properties of the individual elements and their interactions. So these are the things we need to consider. Along with that, one more view known as allocation views. Till now we have seen module views, component connector views, and then we have seen some of the properties, allocation views. Allocation views describe the mapping of a software units to elements of an environment in which the software is developed or in which it executes. The environment might be hardware, the operating environment in which the software is executed, the file systems supporting development or deployment of the deployment organizations. So these things you need to be required. That is, they are nothing but the mapping of software units to elements of the environment. See, right from the starting we are talking about the only mapping. The same thing, mapping of software elements to the environment in which the software is going to be developing or deploying, or it is going to be executing. Allocation view consists of software elements and environmental elements. Examples of environmental elements are processor, disk form, file or folder, or a group of developers. Okay, these are the things which we will discuss regarding the views. A view can be defined as a set of elements giving the relationship among them. So we are having module views, then we have seen some of the properties, components and connector views, allocation views, and then we will come into the quality views. So this is one of the important aspect for these three views, that is modules, CNC and allocation views are all structural views. They are just only by seeing the representation we can understand that this is a module view, this is a component connector view, this is the allocation view. They are primarily shows the structures that the architect has engineered into the architecture to satisfy the functionality and quality attribute requirements. These views are excellent for guiding and constraining downstream developers whose primary job is to implement those structures. However, in systems in which certain quality attributes or for that matter some other kind of stakeholder concerns are particularly important and pervasive, structural views may not be the best way to present the architectural solutions to those needs. So you need to have, the reason is the solution may be spread across multiple structures that are inconvenient to combine. For example, because the element types shown in each are different. Another kind of view, which we call the quality view, can be tailored for specific stakeholders to address the specific concerns. Those quality views are formed by extracting the relevant pieces of structural views and packing them together. So although there are these four views are there, they are nothing but structural views. They won't give the respective solution to build a convenient multiple structure architecture. So we need to develop another quality view which will tailor for specific stakeholders to address the specific concerns. Here are 5 examples we will see in terms of security, in terms of quality attributes: security view, communication view, exception or error handling view, reliability view, performance view. So these are the 5 views which we are going to see now. A security view can show all the architectural measures to provide the security. It would show the components that have some security role or responsibility, how those components communicate, any data repositories for security information and repositories that are of security interest. The view's context information would show other security measures such as physical security in the system's environment. So the behavior part of the security should show the operation of security protocols where and now humans interact with the security elements. It would also capture the element system, how the system would respond to specific threats and vulnerabilities. So in order to overcome the threats and vulnerabilities, you need to perform the security view. And the communication view, it might be especially helpful for the systems that are globally dispersed and heterogeneous. This view show all of the components to component channels, the various network channels, quality of service provider parameter values and areas of concurrency. This view can be used to analyze another certain kinds of performance and reliability, such as a deadlock or race condition detection. The behavior part of this view could show, for example, how network bandwidth is dynamically allocated. Next one is the exception handling or the error handling view. The exception handling mechanism we have seen the Java programming subject that would help and illuminate the draw attention to error propagating, error reporting and resolution mechanisms. Such a view would show how component detects, report and resolve faults of errors. It will help the resources of errors and appropriate corrective measures. Root cause analysis into these causes would be facilitated by such sort of views. It is the error handling views or exception handling views. A reliability view would in which reliability mechanisms such as replication, switch over are modeled. It would also depict timing issues and transaction integrity. A performance view would include those aspects of the architect useful for inferring the system's performance, such as a view might show network traffic models, maximum latencies for operations and so forth. So these are the 5 views which are nothing but the quality aspects views. Now structure. Before developing this, it is mandatory to know about what is the type of a structure we are going to develop for the architecture. Set of elements itself as they exist in software or hardware. Whatever the elements we are going to be see, nothing but a structure. If I will go, if I want to enter into home, I need to know structure. Is it 2 BHK or 1 BHK? Then only I can understand that yes, it is 1 BHK or 2 BHK. So here we are going to restrict our attention to at any one moment to one or a small number of the system's software's structure. To communicate meaningfully about an architecture, we must make a clear which structure or structures we are discussing at the moment. So you need to know about the structure. So we are having module structures, and then you can see the component and connector structures and allocation structures. So and there is also a relation among these structures. Anyhow, for today's class we will end up with these things, that is module structures. Each elements are modules which are units of implementation, whatever discussed just now, which are the primary functional responsibility assigned to each module. What other software elements is a module allowed to use, what other software does it actually use. Decomposition can be defined as it shows how larger modules are decomposed into smaller ones. It means dividing the big system into small modules. Uses: the units are modules, procedures are resources on the interfaces of modules. The units are related by the uses relation. Now layered is also one of a technology using relations structures into layers. Class or generalization, it means we are going to make use of inheritance or instance of among the modules. Then components and connector structures. Elements are runtime components, nothing but the units of computation, and connectors communication vehicles among the components. The relation is attachment, showing how the components and connectors are hooked together. It means how they have been connected to one another. What are the major executing components and how they interact. What are the major data shared data stores or data storages. Which parts of the systems are replicated, it means duplicated or created once again. How does data progress through the system? What parts of the system can run parallel? How can the system's structure changes as it executes? Along with that, process are communicating processes. Units of processes or threads are connected with one another by communication, synchronization and exploration parameters. The concurrency, the units of components or the connectors are logical threads. A logical thread is a sequence of computation that can be allocated to a separate physical thread. With this we have seen the Java programming language multithreading. Shared data or repository. This structure comprises components and connectors that create, store and access persistent data. Client server. The components are the clients and servers and the connectors are protocols and messages. So till now we have seen two types of structures: module structures, component and connector structures. Now we will discuss about the allocation structures. The relationship between the software elements and the elements in the one or more external environments. What processes does each software element execute on? In what files is each element stored during development and testing and system building? What is the assignment of software elements to development teams? Now deployment means it shows how software is assigned to hardware processing and communication elements. It means for the execution part. Relations such as allocated to, migrates to, if the allocation is dynamic. Implementation, how software elements, usually modules, are mapped to file structures. Work assignment, assigns responsibility for implementing and integrating the modules to development teams. So if we will see how they are related to one another, these three, which one? Module structure, components and connector structures, and finally are this one, allocation structures. How they are related? Elements of one structure related to the elements of other structures. Often the dominant structure is the module structure because module decomposition, because it spans the whole project structure. Structures represent a powerful separation of concerns and approach for creating the architecture. Structures are basics for architecture documentation. So this is about the whole. So relating structures to each other. So we have seen that elements of one structure are related to the elements of other structures. Okay. Now I will be switching on to the next aspect of this thing, that is architecture and quality attributes. Architecture is crucial to realization of many qualities of interest in a system, and these qualities should be designed in and can be evaluated at the architecture level. See, whenever we are going to designing the whole architecture or executing the architecture system architecture, we need to know the architecture level first of all. Either it can be a high level, low level, or the middle level. Okay, depending upon those things, we have to consider the respective architectural levels. Then architecture by itself is unable to achieve qualities. It provides the foundation for achieving quality. Do have to remember that This is the one of the main attribute, the quality attribute, which will be considering the factors. Okay, quality attributes are achieved through the architecture and implementation and deployment. So these are the two attributes with which we have to look after, that is architecture and implementation or deployment. Quality attribute requirements significantly influence the architecture. The degree to which the system meets quality attribute requirements depends on the architectural decisions. See, whatever the decisions you are going to taking, depending upon those decisions, you need to look after. The achievement of quality attribute affects positive or negative the achievement of the other quality. So this is the main factor with which we have to see. Some of the attributes such as security versus reliability, which plays a vital role whenever we are developing the architecture. Performance versus all other quality attributes, this will also play a vital role. If architecture decision have nothing to do with the quality attribute, you may be losing some job. Okay, so soft system quality attributes. So already we have discussed about this system quality attributes: availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, and usability. So these are the some of the around 6 quality attributes: availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, and usability. You might have seen some of the FUBS quality factors. Likewise, these are the system quality attributes which you have seen in the software engineering subject. Quality attribute means by themselves they are not enough, but still quality attribute requirements are often non-operational, meaningless to say a system shall be modifiable. So these are the things you need to keep in mind for the developing of a particular architecture. To which quality a particular aspect belongs to. What is the vocabulary describing quality attributes? So if you will see the software product quality, functional suitability, performance efficiency, compatibility, usability, reliability, security, maintainability, and portability. So these are the main factors which are going to affect for the software quality, product quality. If you will see the functional suitability, functional completeness, functional correctness, functional appropriateness. So all these things will be coming to picture whenever you are going to developing the attribute of the functionality. If you will see the performance efficiency, then time behavior is one of the attribute, resource utilization is one of the attribute, and capacity is one of the attribute. So these are the 3 factors which will play a vital role in the performance efficiency attribute. Compatibility, it means that there should be a coexistence with one factor to another factor. Interoperability among the components and the connectors. Usability, appropriateness, recognizability, and then learnability, operability, user error protection. So you have to see all these things into factor. User interface aesthetics, accessibility. So accessibility will play a vital role whenever trying to, so nowadays everything is touch and feel components are available, such as your mobile phone, which is a Android version phone, which is accessible. So whatever the components inside the mobile, we can easily access them. So these are the factors which will work with the usability. Interface design we have to consider. Reliability, up to what maturity the reliability is so. Reliable software, it is up to what maturity level. Availability, does this software is available to access or not? Are there any fault tolerances, fault mistakes are there? Is there any recoverability to that software? Security, confidentiality is one of the main attribute. Integrity is one of the main attribute. Non-repudiation, authenticity, accountability. These are the 5 factors which will be dealing with your network security subject. There are the security concerns, maintainability, in which you will also have the modularity, reusability, analyzability, modifiability, testability. So at last, portability factor, which attribute which will have adaptability factor, installability factor, and replaceability factor. So these are the various things, various software quality product attributes which will execute upon the timeline. Depending upon that, we need to look after all this whenever we are trying to design a quality attribute for a particular software. So quality attribute scenarios. Quality attribute scenarios helps to describe quality attribute requirements. A quality attribute scenario is a quality attribute specific requirement. It consists of source of stimulus, environment, artifact, whole system or part of it, response or response measure. So here we are going to distinguish between the general attributes and system attributes. For the 6 parts, the range values they can take as shown as concrete, that is quality attributes system specific. The quality attributes usually Business considerations determine the qualities that must be accommodated in system architecture. Too often, functionality overrides maintainability, portability, scalability, and other factors determining the long-term success of the project. Functionality and quality attributes are orthogonal, that is, they are opposite to one another, functionality and the quality attribute. Since a given functionality can be achieved by many different architectures, quality requirements depend on the system architecture more than on the functional requirements. There are three main categories of quality attributes: system qualities, business qualities, architectural qualities. In the system quality, you will be having availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, usability, all these things we have seen just now. The business qualities: time to market, cost, benefit, product, lifetime, target, market, rollout schedule, integration, and others. Architectural qualities include comprises of conceptual integrity, correctness, and completeness. If you will see here, a quality attribute scenarios has like this: source of stimulus from the customer, whatever we are going to be getting, the artifacts, then nothing but the environment in which we are going to trying to develop it as like the response. We are going to see the response measure in terms of all these attributes, that is availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, usability, others. Okay, all these things we are going to see as like a response measure. So source of stimulus is nothing but the entity generating the stimulus, that is, can be actor or actuator or any customer or sensor and so on. Stimulus, a condition arriving at a system, includes false stated intentions by actors and so on. Environment, the conditions surrounding the stimulus, might be normal operation, degraded operation, or overloaded and so on. Artifacts, the parts of parts, system stimulated. Artifacts, I told you in the previous class, just now also in this today's introduction of this today's class also we discussed about the artifacts, the end product of a system. If you will see the whole life cycle, software development life cycle, in which we are going to getting the all artifacts. Each work product itself is an artifact. If you will see the requirements, SRS document is the artifact. If you will see the design phase, the model itself is an artifact. If you will see the implementation phase, .exe file is an artifact. If you will see the testing phase, you are going to see the test cases as like an artifacts. The response of the system takes the stimulus. It means the actors are the one who are talking about this. So response measure, how the response can be measured and tested. So these are the things. Apart from this, there are 7 system quality attributes. There is nothing but availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, and usability. So we can define the availability as availability is equals to mean time to failure by mean time to failure plus mean time to repair. This we have seen the software engineering subject, which leads to the software reliability. Okay. The availability attribute is concerned with the system failures. Faults or problems that are corrected or masked by the system. Failures are uncorrected errors that are user available. So availability is one of the main factor with which we are going to consider this as like a mean time to failure by mean time to failure plus mean time to repair. We need to know it. Then modifiability. The modifiability quality is concerned with what change, when our changes are made, who makes the changes. We don't know who are going to make the changes. So performance. The performance quality is concerned with response times and similar measures of various events. The security, the 5 factors which I have told you: non-repudiation, confidentiality, integrity, assurance or authentication, and availability, no denial of service, and auditing. These are the 5 factors. The testability, then nothing but the detecting failure modes. We are going to identify the respective failure modes. Typically 40% of the cost of a particular large project is spent on testing. This means artificial support for testing that reduces test cost is time well spent. We need to control the internal use state of and inputs to each unit, then observe the corresponding outputs of that unit. Usability, how easy it is to learn the features of the system, how efficiently the user can use the system, how well the system handles errors, how well the system adapts to user needs, to what degree the system gives the user confidence in the correctness of its actions. So these are the things which we are going to see, which you have seen regarding the system quality attributes and the quality attributes. So now all these things will be considered whenever we are going to look after into the quality attributes. The quality attributes are nothing but whatever we are going to develop the architectural patterns or architectural considerations, software architecture, we need to look after all these things. So my dear students, by this I will end up my today's class and hope whatever the concepts we have seen for today's class, we will reiterate them for the next coming classes. So whatever the concepts we have seen for today's class. I will just trace out that right from the here, that is right from the reference models, reference architectures, architectural structures, types of views. 3 types of views we have seen, that is the model views, CNC views, and then allocation views. Then afterwards we have concentrated on the quality views, although there are some views are available. Again we have going for the quality views. We have seen some of the 5 aspects, that is the security, communication, exception, reliability, performance. All these are the things. And the structure views we have seen, and the software structures we have seen, module structure, and then CNC structures, and then allocation structures we have seen, the relation we have seen, and the quality attributes we have seen, the system quality attributes we have seen. I have discussed the whole software product quality attributes, right, regarding from the FOBS quality factors, along considering some of the various attributes which are required for the development of the software, the quality attribute scenarios, the quality attributes, so what are the main 5 quality attributes, system quality attributes: availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, and usability. The next class we will see the business quality attributes. Prior to that, I would like to ask you some of the questions if you are required. Okay, thank you.